Scientists find a 1,500-year-old mummy wearing what looks like a pair of Adidas. The wealthy head out into the desert for a Burning Man for the 1%. And while the NSA is watching you, who's watching the watchers? This is SkyWatchTV for Wednesday, May 4th, 2016. I'm Derek Gilbert. First up, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership, or TTIP, may be dead on arrival. And this is good news. An activist group, Greenpeace, leaked nearly 250 pages of negotiating texts over the weekend, revealing that President Obama, for all of his public support for the Paris Accord on climate change, the leaked documents make it clear that President Obama is willing to kill the Paris Accord to pass TTIP. Well, Europeans aren't happy. Their laws typically include more protections for consumers and the environment than American laws do. But just like the TPP, under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, corporations can sue governments, and those cases would be heard in tribunals that are staffed by corporate lawyers. And the rulings of these corporate attorneys would supersede national law. Needless to say, the people in Britain, France, Germany, and elsewhere in Europe are not too happy about that. In the UK, The Independent last week reported that the only official assessment conducted by the British government over the TTIP package found that the secret courts in the deal, these tribunals, have lots of risk and no benefit to the British people. Well, thank you, because that's kind of how we feel over here in the States, too. The French government officials openly saying the deal is dead as far as they're concerned. It's too friendly to U.S. businesses, they say. From where they sit, it appears that U.S. business would be the only beneficiary of TTIP. We keep a close eye on the encroaching culture of death here at SkyWatch TV, and what happens in Europe in this regard is kind of an early warning for us here in the United States. In the Netherlands, the health minister has set aside 400,000 euros to study whether that country should legalize euthanasia for children between the ages of 1 and 12. Children over 12 are already eligible for doctor-assisted suicide. Children younger than 1 may be killed under certain criteria: the presence of hopeless and unbearable suffering, the consent of the parents, a medical consultation having taken place, and careful execution of the termination. Now, child euthanasia was legalized in Belgium in 2014, and apparently the Dutch want to keep up with the Belgians. The problem is that children under the age of 12 almost never speak in terms of hopeless and unbearable suffering, which means that it falls to parents or medical professionals to interpret their words to mean hopeless and unbearable suffering, which raises the rather unpleasant, uncomfortable, and ugly question of whether child euthanasia is for the benefit of the children or for the parents. Frankly, in a truly Christian nation, it's a question that wouldn't even be asked. But in the culture of death, suicide is an acceptable treatment for suffering. Elsewhere, in Nigeria, government troops rescued 400 people held by the group formerly known as Boko Haram, now called Wilayat al-Sudan al-Gharbi. It's an affiliate of the Islamic State. The Nigerian army said on May 1st that it's freed 1,400 hostages from the clutches of the former Boko Haram over the last 30 days. Hamas is caught bringing rocket fuel into the Gaza Strip. Israel's tax authority said it intercepted about 4 tons of ammonium chloride early last month. That's enough to power hundreds of rockets. But in spite of this and other recent smuggling incidents, Israel is planning to reopen the Erez crossing from Israel into the Gaza Strip. It's been closed to commercial traffic for the last 8 years. Another trend we watch here at SkyWatch TV is the war on cash. And a group of Wall Street bigwigs gathered one recent Monday in New York City for a demonstration on how eliminating cash might work. Digital currency is based on a special type of database called blockchain. This is an innovation that's come about through the development of a digital currency called Bitcoin, you may have heard about. It's technology that some are betting will revolutionize the world of finance. Representatives from a number of the world's largest financial and corporate organizations gathered at this meeting at an office in Times Square. It was sponsored by a tech startup called Chain, which has released an open source protocol or set of technical standards called the Chain OS, or Open Standard. This is to build a blockchain network that can handle a large volume of transactions. Now you can see why big financial institutions might be excited by this. Transferring physical money from place to place to settle transactions can be a costly process, especially if there are large amounts of cash involved. There are obviously security risks, and of course, in some cases, just the sheer volume or weight of the cash involves expense. So why don't these guys use Bitcoin? I mean, Bitcoin is already out there. It's already a thing. It's been around for a few years. Here's why. Visa, for example, processes at maximum capability 65,000 credit card transactions a second. 65,000 transactions a second. Bitcoin's blockchain can handle 6 or 7 transactions a second. See, there's a difference there by an order of about 10,000. So, Chain hopes to roll out a system that will accommodate its high-volume investors like Visa and NASDAQ and Citigroup and Pfizer, Fidelity, and others. They've already pulled in about $130 million in startup money. But the other aspect of this story is this. Yes, there are some advantages to being able to use a digital currency, to just swipe a card and go instead of fumbling for the right amount of change or standing and forcing people to wait while you write out a check. But if the push continues to eliminate cash, because of course, only tax cheats and drug dealers use physical cash, then all of us will be forced to depend on banks because they'll be the ones keeping track of who's got how much. And they, the bankers, or the government, but I repeat myself, will have total control over your ability to buy or sell. And of course, we know there's a day coming when that will fulfill prophecy. Now, speaking of the feds, another example of why limited government is a good thing. In 1978, the U.S. government created something called the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court. This was a product of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA. This secret court is there to rule on requests by the FBI and the NSA to intercept communications, emails, phone calls, etc., of foreign suspects in national security investigations. Now, we find out from the Reuters news agency this week, citing a memo from the Justice Department, that the FISA court has not rejected a single request in at least 2 years. Over 3,000 requests to listen in on phone calls or intercept email. Not a single request denied by the FISA court. The memo also showed that the FBI submitted nearly 50,000 national security letter requests last year. Now, national security letters, or NSLs, are basically subpoenas that don't require a judge's signature that compel an internet service provider or telephone company, telecommunications company, to give the FBI personal data, web browsing history, email addresses, basically all of the information related to a target person or person of interest, if you will. And these letters are accompanied by a gag order to the ISP or telecom, preventing them from notifying the subject of surveillance that they are being watched. So the question is, what do our security personnel agencies do with this power to watch? Unfortunately, according to a top official at the National Security Agency and a colleague of his at the Pentagon, some of them are using it to collect child pornography. The NSA's director of security told a symposium in Virginia last week that he wants authority to keep tabs on security personnel and what they do online when they're off the clock. He and the director of the Pentagon's Defense Security Service said that the amount of child pornography on government computers is, their word now, unbelievable. An event in the desert near Las Vegas. Call it Burning Man for the 1%, a so-called transformational festival outside Las Vegas over the weekend drew the curious from among the ranks of the rich and famous. It's called Further Future. Tickets to the event started at $350 and went up from there if you wanted fully staffed accommodations or fine dining. So Burning Man, but say with spa treatments and green juice. Attendees included Eric Schmidt, the executive chairman of Alphabet, that's the parent company of Google, Bob Pittman, longtime broadcast executive, the guy who oversaw the creation of MTV back in the day, a top Facebook executive. The bottom line, this is not the hoi polloi that attended Further Future, but the wealthy, the well-to-do, movers and shakers who apparently don't want to have to sweat to achieve an epiphany. These transformational festivals, our friend Carl Teichrieb, who will be one of the speakers at the upcoming Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference, has been keeping an eye on these for the last several years. There are literally hundreds of these transformational festivals every year, and they are called transformational festivals because the idea is to transform the earth into a pagan world, a world that welcomes back the old gods. They may not openly describe themselves as pagan, but make no mistake, that's what they are, and they are drawing in our children and our grandchildren. And our final story, it appears that a Mongolian woman buried 1,500 years ago was wearing Adidas. Or that's what the commenters to this video from which this still photo was taken believe. The video has gone viral, of course. The pattern on her boots looks kind of like the trademark stripes on modern Adidas, leading to speculation that Mongols in the 5th century had time travel. More likely, the woman was just wearing the latest design of Air Attilas. This week on SkyWatch TV, speaking of ancient civilizations, Steve Quayle joins us. He's the executive producer for Gen 6 productions of the True Legends documentary series, and the new film is called The Unholy Sea. Documents evidence of the Vatican's cover-up of pre-flood civilizations. Why would they do it? What is to be gained? As Steve puts it, those who control history control the future. You'll see that this afternoon on the Cornerstone Network, 2:30 p.m. Central Time. And if you miss it today, you can see it again Saturday on the Victory Television Network down in Arkansas and around Memphis, and coast to coast on the Christian Television Network. Of course, it's also available now on the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku. Roku is a set-top box, allows you to watch programs on your schedule at your convenience. And we put our new programs on the Roku channel every Monday morning, so you get first crack at them and you watch them at your convenience. You can also check out the new programs as we've expanded our lineup into the multiverse with Josh Peck, Sci Friday with my best friend and wife Sharon K. Gilbert, and of course these daily updates as well as the regular weekly program, all that on the SkyWatch TV channel on Roku. The SkyWatch TV podcast, we've been telling you about that in recent weeks, how we've updated it, changed the hosting company, now hosted at Blog Talk Radio, which meant that the podcast feed changed. So if you had subscribed to it previously, you'll notice that it hasn't been updated in a couple of weeks. Well, we've gotten the SkyWatch TV podcast back into the iTunes store. So if you subscribe with iTunes, you open iTunes on your computer, search the iTunes store for SkyWatch TV, you'll now turn up 2 different podcast locations. Look for the one that's most recently updated. That's the one where you'll find all of the audio versions of our programs, including these daily updates, updated every single day. We give you a portable audio-only version of SkyWatch TV to carry around with you. Again, now available in the iTunes store. The Rocky Mountain International Prophecy Conference. Carl Teichrieb, one of the speakers there, 24 other speakers, including yours truly, and just added to the lineup, Sharon K. Gilbert. 32 messages from the 25 speakers come to you via live video stream July 15th through the 17th, and those will be archived for up to 6 weeks. For more information about the streaming packages available and to sign up, log on to prophecywatchers.com. The month of May, Mother's Day, and in keeping with that, our thank you for your support of $20 or more during May. Gifts for your mom. A couple of books you'll find very useful, Favorite Family Meals and Survive the Unthinkable, A Woman's Guide to Preparedness, as well as a beautiful journal worth $20 by itself, and then a beautiful mug for her tea or coffee, her choice, of course. We will send those to you for your donation of $20 or more during the month of May. To donate, log on to skywatchtv.com/donate. And of course, you can always help us just by clicking your mouse. It just takes a second. Please click like, click subscribe at our YouTube channel, click share with your friends, and help the word get out. I need to make a correction. On Monday, I talked about the replica of Noah's Ark that's being towed across the ocean from the Netherlands to Brazil, arriving in time for the Olympics. I said, based on the information on the story where I found the information, that it was a half-size replica. If I had simply opened Genesis chapter 6, which is a chapter I am somewhat familiar with, I would have known that the description of the ark in the story was exactly life-size. 300 cubits, etc., etc. So, thank you to Stuart in the north of England for correcting me on that. I appreciate your email. For your comments, questions, and corrections, dgilbert@skywatchtv.com. Thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert, and this is Skywatch TV. To celebrate the release of Nita Horn's inspiring new book, No Fences, Skywatch TV would like you to tell your story, because after all, even if you don't think so, you actually have a story.
Send in your story, and we are going to choose the 10 best, and they'll be published for Christmas release in an anthology of those stories, along with the book that you buy that is actually only $19.95. Am I right on that?
That's correct.
For free. Tom Horn, crazy guy, he's throwing in a journal which on its own, most of these retail for $20 on their own. So this journal is to help you start writing your story. When you buy the book, not only are you going to be enrolled in this and you can send in your story, but you'll get a plastic pony, you'll get a journal of your own, and the proceeds from the book are going to help fund the studio we're building for Skywatch Women, and Nita Horn is going to be one of our panel members.
The 10 authors who are selected for the anthology, published by Defender Publishing in time for Christmas, will also receive a $500 cash prize.
That'll go a long way at Christmas time, won't it?
Yes, it will. Even if your story is not one of those selected for the anthology, if you've taken the time to write your story, you've left a legacy for your children and for your grandchildren.
Amen to that.
For complete instructions and details on this opportunity, please log on to skywatchtv.com/nofences.